Every night she asked me the same question. Do you think he ever really loved me? I didn't know how to answer. I had just started my job at the nursing home, assigned to care for Mrs. Vivian, an elderly woman with severe dementia. Her mind was a maze of forgotten moments and fleeting thoughts, but one thing always remained clear: her love for a man named Oliver. She would always tell me about him, how he had been the love of her life, the one who swept her off her feet when she was young. She remembered the way he used to write her letters, the way his handwriting felt like a warm embrace. She could recall the sound of his laugh, the scent of his cologne, but every night she told me the same story. They had planned to run away together, escape the small town that had held them captive. They dreamed of starting a new life, but just like a cruel twist of fate, he had vanished. One day, he simply stopped writing. Mrs. Vivian never heard from him again. It seemed like a sad story, one of lost love and broken promises. But something about her eyes, the way she asked that question every night, made it clear that it was more than just a memory. It was a question that haunted her, a wound that never healed. Do you think he really loved me? She'd whisper, her hands trembling as she clutched the faded photo of him she kept by her bed. One night, I couldn't take it anymore. Mrs. Vivian, I said softly, I think he loved you more than you know. And maybe he left because he was afraid of how deeply he felt. Sometimes love is too big for the world we live in. Her gaze softened, but then the familiar sadness crept back into her eyes. She didn't speak, just nodded, as if she'd heard that answer 1,000 times before. The next night, as I helped her settle into bed, I noticed something different. Her photo was missing. I asked her where it had gone, and she smiled, a peaceful look on her face. It's okay, she said. I don't need to ask anymore. I know now. That was the last night I saw her. Mrs. Vivian passed away quietly a few days later. When her family came to gather her things, I found a box under her bed, filled with old letters and postcards, all from Oliver. Each one was unopened, as if she had been waiting for the right moment to respond. I'll never forget Mrs. Vivian. Her story wasn't just about lost love. It was about finding peace with what you can't change. And every time I see a letter or a photograph, I think of her, remembering that sometimes the answers we seek are right in front of us all along.